In this video, we're going to talk about the best way for your business to respond to your clients within 60 seconds. So somebody comes to your website, completes a form, and then that gets submitted. What happens right now? Does it take a day? Does it take 2 hours, 1 hour to respond to that client? Isn't it ideal for you to respond to that client whilst they're still on the page, filling the form, or whilst they're still on the page doing other things? You can make the chatbot pop up and ask them a question and start responding straight away. So we're going to look at a couple of solutions that you can implement to make this a reality. So that's a strategy for 2026 and leading into 2027, that you respond to your clients at the point of their need. Now, take, for example, a lead just completes a form on your website. They read your services, they check your reviews, and finally they've decided, okay, I'm interested. Let me find out a bit more about this business and see how they can help me. So they click submit, and then nothing happens. How much did you spend getting them to your website and then for them to complete the form? Because those are two different processes, and those are two different expenses. So, as an example, here's an automation we built. And with this automation, essentially someone completes a form on the business's website. So that's what the tally bit on this left-hand side is. So the complete tally here, and then that information comes in, and we decide whether the information will go through AI for AI to qualify the lead, to extract extra information, and to process what we then send back to the client. So in some cases, it will go straight into their CRM, which is the Airbnb bit here. And then in other cases, it would go through the AI processing sequence, and then improve the response from the client, and then either send them or construct the email response that the client will receive, or send the information to Slack for the business owner to see what's going on. So this is within seconds of that business completing the form, or the client completing the form. Now, speed is really the expectation now, because the businesses that are AI native would have this in place anyway. This is just how they've started. And if yours isn't in that same realm, then you're potentially losing clients, because with eventually the business that has speed will be able to process more clients and effectively make a lot more. So your prospect doesn't really care as to whether your office is closing at 5 p.m. and everyone's gone home. They might think about it, but if they go to another website and that website starts responding to their information straight away, then guess what? They'll work with that one, because that's resolving their problem quickly, because speed beats free. Now, your competitor may not be silent whilst you're sat there thinking that everyone is on the same playing field as yourself. So a prospect rarely waits patiently for one company unless you've worked with them in the past and they know your services is really, really unique. But other than that, if they're still searching or shopping around, they'll just go to whomever responds straight away. So they're likely comparing suppliers, which they should do. They're requesting multiple quotes, and they're filling in another contact form, and they keep going. And completing contact forms is actually frustrating. So imagine if you saved the client the trouble of having to do the form again. So the competition isn't just who offers the best service, it's who starts the conversation first. And that gives the impression of speed and the likely experience that they would have. Now, there's a famous statistic that says that responding within 5 minutes makes a lead 20 times, 21 times more likely to qualify than responding after 30 minutes. So why keep them for 5 minutes? Well, the real point isn't, 60 seconds would magically increase your sales by X, but it's just that when someone's actively searching and you are responding to them straight away whilst they're still on the page, then they don't have to go anywhere else. Now, the traditional way of handling inquiries tended to be someone go to a website, complete a form, then they receive an email, thank you for completing the form. There was a time that was novel and creative and really new and people like that, but we're no longer in that space. So that's 20s. Now, 2026 and lead into 2030, they expect things to be immediate, and it's even going to get worse with agents doing this for you. So the 2026 version of handling your lead is within 60 seconds. The workflow gets triggered as soon as they complete the form. And within 5 to 15 seconds, AI reads the information that is received. It understands the inquiry. It categorizes the inquiry or the prospect. And within 40 seconds, the relevant response is prepared. And then it's up to you to respond and say, okay, I like what you've drafted, send it off to the client. And you can do that at least at the very beginning, it will need a human to approve what's been written. And eventually, you would have trained the AI so much that it can send the response by itself. Um, so that's within 60 seconds. So that's the point. And the automation I showed you earlier completes in less than 60 seconds. So this is no longer the time of providing an autoresponder. So thank you for contacting ABC Limited. Yes, that's nice, but it's all about, okay, not only do you just respond instantly, you're moving the conversation forward. And I'll show you an example of what that might look like. So form gets completed by prospect within, let's say it's another business trying to hire your business. Without you even looking at the inquiry, the AI can extract the company size, because based on the domain of the person who completed the form, they can go off and scrape the company's website and do some searches and news articles to find out more about the company that's making an inquiry. Then you can find out, okay, how many people actually work for that company? What are the requirements likely to be? Are they a big organization? Are they worth looking at? What's the timeline that they're likely to want your service, and what's their buying intent? And then the pricing, if that's what's requested, you can prepare that. If there's any missing information, you can request missing information straight away and potentially whilst they're still on the website. So the first response can actually be extremely useful. So compare these two. Thanks for contacting us. We'll be in touch. Or, hi, Sarah. Automating onboarding between HubSpot and Zero is exactly the sort of workflow we can assess. Before recommending an approach, we'd need to understand your monthly client volume, where manual effort is highest. I've passed your details to our team. You will need to repeat them. That's fantastic. So they can respond straight away and say, okay, all right, our client volume is 5,000 a day or 5,000 a month, and whatever else, whatever information you need. So you can see that that lead has moved forward, as opposed to thanks for contacting us, and then the following morning someone has to come in and send the exact same email mentioned on the right hand side. So so the workflow behind all of this is what I showed you earlier, and here it is in the make.com place. So request on the left hand side there, and then it goes through this routing and then goes through AI. AI processes a few things, makes a few decisions, and then prepares something that will put in documents. That's the PDF module. It prepares PDFs. Then here we forward some information to Slack. And then in this case, we just prepare the draft and just put it or an email, put it in a draft. And then the client, you as the business owner, can read the draft and then press send if you want. The other option we do is we put that information in the CRM. Well, we do that every time anyway in this automation. So you can see all these things are happening behind the scenes, right? And the other thing is when the email goes out, you want to have another automation that sits behind that receives the email and reads it for you. So what is the workflow? Capture information, set the trigger, understand what's being sent, and then apply your business rules. And then you create the response. The creation of the response is also done by AI. So AI receives inquiry, business context, response rules, and then the workflow can take the rest. So in these automation I showed you, they would send an email and send a message to Slack, and then update the CRM. So the CRM is where the information is stored for future engagement with that client. So where businesses get automation wrong is that even though the form is completed, they send to ChatGPT, they send whatever it writes back. So there isn't that point where I said the business owner presses send. So that the whole purpose of that is for the business owner to actually say, yes, I'm happy with it. And we do have automations that we've built that sends the response that AI has prepared to your Slack. And then it's just 3 action buttons on there. One says amend, the other says, yes, I'm happy, send, and the other one says pause. So you can do all of those things on your handset. So acknowledge the inquiry, answer approved FAQs, ask qualifying questions, and offer appointment slots. So what you would want to escalate if you have this automation in place is like pricing requests. You don't really want AI doing that because we've heard of quite a few errors that AI has made. Complaints and legal issues, any complex technical questions, those sorts of things you want to get a human dealing with. So, okay, so what's this? You're also giving the team, let's go that. Oops. Okay. Yeah. So you're also giving your team time back by doing all of this automation on their behalf. So if would normally take a human 2 hours every morning or an hour every morning to respond to the leads from the night before, from the day before. Suddenly they don't have to do that. They only have to spend maybe 5 minutes reading an email to see if the draft is what they want, and then just press send. And all of that can be put onto a dashboard that they can look at and handle quite easily. So Salesforce has this thing of, okay, every inquiry creates admin. So someone has to do the research, classify, enter the data, and then draft a reply. So 21% of sales reps week is spent doing research and researching leads. You don't have to do that. You can get your AI agent to do that, or your automation to do that on your behalf. So different responses also apply for different leads. Again, AI is wonderful at this. So you can set the rules that would inform AI as to whether the lead is a high intent lead. So the response goes immediately. There's a sales alert to your handset or your phone, and then with a booking link and priority on the CRM task. If it's just an information seeker, you can send the information that's helpful. You can point them to the relevant resources. You can actually condense that information, send to them, and then put them in your nurturing inbox so that you can send them regular information about the business and what about the inquiry, so that when they eventually want to purchase, you are first on their list. And then you can also work out the poor fit. For instance, if you only deal with businesses that have 30 to 100 clients, and then someone comes along and they're just starting, they only have one or two, then you can make that qualification, and they're not a good lead. Then if it's an existing customer, clearly you should have some processes in place to handle that. So real world example, for instance, 150 to 200 inbound leads every week. Previously, your business will spend 8 hours dealing with all those leads. If suddenly you have this automation in place, not only do you save your team time, you also increase the rate at which you respond to those leads. So AI removes that bottleneck of lead generation, the bottleneck between the lead being generated and the conversation starting with the client. So the 60-second strategy, this is it. You capture the lead, you enrich the lead, you classify the lead, so that's categorizing whether they're fit, you qualify them, and then you respond. That's it. So it's one workflow, 8 different steps under 60 seconds. And I've shown you what that might look like for your business. So the most important part is that no genuine inquiry ever gets forgotten. No prospect waits unnecessarily. No salesperson starts from a blank page. So they've received the initial information for the lead you have brought to your website. And no important lead disappears into an inbox. So you've already paid for the website to bring you SEO, bring leads to your website, and the marketing and advertising. So what happens after they click submit is just as important, because that's where you start to get the return on the investment you have made. So your challenge right now is to do a test within your business, go to your website, complete a form, and see how long it takes for you to get a response, and a response that's useful to you. If the first one responds really quickly, change the inquiry type and see whether the response is exactly the same. If the answer is ours or tomorrow, that's the first thing you want to fix, so that your leads get responded to really, really quickly. So the final takeaway, right, is it's not about replacing your sales team. Definitely not. But you want to save them that 21%, or a huge chunk of the 21% they spend trying to sort out leads and trying to fix leads, or work out whether a lead is right or not. So let automation handle those seconds that they would spend, and remove the burden, the cognitive burden that your sales team has to spend in order to get a lead into, or convert a lead into, a prospect that you can actually pursue. So inquiries, think about inquiries, think about qualifying the lead that comes to your website. Have you responded? How long did it take you to respond? Is that information recorded in your CRM or some database you have? And is it routed to the right person? So it's now over to you for your business. I'm sure as a business owner, you want to increase the returns that you're making. So how long did it take for your business to respond to your inquiry? And if you want to know more, and you would like some sort of information, want to understand how this automation can help in your organization, do feel free to reach out. But these are actual measurements that you need to be making for your business to make sure that you stay in business and stay ahead of your competition. So what's left for me to say is that I'm Uwa, the founder of Autori. We help HVAC companies turn their estimates into booked jobs. We are actually the anti-AI AI company. So in terms of the estimates, we chase them using humans, not AI. And in terms of phoning, so the calls are human, but the SMSs and emails and all those extra touch points that we engage as part of the process, those are handled by AI and AI assisted processes. So if this is something that's of interest, do feel free to reach out. You can send me an email to hello@autori.ai, or go to my website, autori.ai, AUTORE.ai. You can complete the form or book an appointment, book a call, or you can complete the scorecard. And the scorecard there tells you how prepared your business is for the AI world. So until next time, thank you so much for listening. Keep winning.